Let us welcome Lyric Hamilton. Have a seat right over here, Lyric, please. Take us from after high school. What happened?
Yeah. So I did stage crew at Central for 3 years. So I kind of worked my way up. I started in stage crew, kind of just volunteering to help out. And then I got assistant stage manager in my junior year, and then I became the stage manager in my senior year. I kind of went down a very much winding path in college. You would think I'm in love with theater. Why would I not go to college for theater, right? It's logical. I chose to go to Drexel for nursing, which doesn't make any sense. But I went, hated it, failed, completely failed out. Because unfortunately, in order to be a nurse, you have to want to be a nurse. And unfortunately, I'm not a nurse. So I decided I wanted to go back into theater and find my way back there. So I found a very good program at Penn State main campus. I decided to apply, and I packed up all my stuff and I left. And those next 3 years were very pivotal for me. I was able to get an internship at the Wells Fargo Center, but before that, I also got an internship at Bryce Jordan Arena, which is the arena out at Penn State. And also at the same time, I was doing all of my theater stuff. So I was doing shows left and right. We had to do a show every single semester. So I had a resume full of experience doing real shows where people paid real money to see these things. We did rehearsals every night, 6 to 10. I was on the stage management side, so I did hours from like 4 to sometimes midnight, and I went to class during the day, and I was working too. So very disciplined, but it taught me a lot, and it prepared me to go into the real world once I got there. And basically that internship at the Wells Fargo Center, I kept my connections there. Once I figured out what I wanted to do in the real world, whether that was Broadway or touring, I figured out I wanted to go back home, stay in Philly. So I went for it. They created a role for me, thank God. And I started there 4 days after I graduated.
4 days after
4
she
days.
graduated. But what I think is the most unique thing about that story that you just shared is how you made that pivot from, I'm not going to do this nursing thing. And then how did you decide, all right, this is the right move for you? Because I can imagine that there's times when there's students here that maybe go, all right, I want to go down this path. And how did you decide when you wanted to make that move?
Yeah. I think failure is going to teach you a lot of things, unfortunately. I didn't make the right choice, but also I feel like you never make a mistake in life. Everything is going to redirect you to where you need to be eventually. But failing out of nursing really made me reevaluate, okay, what am I doing? Because clearly this should not be it. And I think through that failure, it made me reevaluate, what is it I really want to do? What's really going to make me happy? Money aside. And that was a big thing for me. Everybody in my family was in healthcare, still is. I'm the only unicorn in entertainment and sports and all of that. And my family, so it was so unusual. But once I found my way and I was like, I think I want to go for theater, the support from my family was important. And my mom told me, we had a conversation after I failed. And I was like, I want to try to go back into entertainment. And she said to me, she was like, Lyric, I never saw nursing for you, but I wasn't going to tell you. I wanted you to figure it out. But I always saw you backstage somewhere. And that meant the world to me because she was so accepting and so supportive. And that was really all right, I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to do what makes me happy.
So before I go to their questions, just share a little bit about your company that you started. We'll go back, obviously, to your career at the Wells Fargo Center, but now starting your own company. Your own company.
My own company.
What is
Crazy.
that like?
It's insane to think about. But I started my entrepreneurship journey about 15 months ago. I did leave the arena at that time. I knew that after I left, I did not want to work for anyone. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that starting my own businesses were the route I was going to go. Break the Fourth Wall, my first company I launched in April. It's basically like a foundation, right? So I feel like everything that I did in my career, I had this very successful run. at the arena and I was, doing all these great things, but I wanted to continue them because the things that I was doing at the arena I actually did love. Whether that was mentorship, whether that was speaking, whether that was working with organizations that align with what I believe in, whether that was creating more seats for other Black women that look like me in that world, because there are none. I wanted to make sure that I continued that work. So that's what Break the Fourth Wall is. It is a continuation of what I was already doing. It's consulting, it's professional speaking, and it's mentorship. And then I also just launched, I told you a few weeks ago, a event production company, which is mostly nightlife based right now. But that's where I'm at right now.
But you consult as well, right? Didn't you do you said Philly Marathon?
Yes, that was like a freelancing gig.
Freelancing gig, okay. So your connections though, over the years, that's what's gonna help you build this company, true?
Absolutely. Even just sitting here right now, I'm not sitting here right now just because you guys plucked me out of thin air. I'm sitting here because Lindsay, I worked with her when I was at the arena working with the Wings. So the network is very important in sports. Everyone knows everybody. If you think someone's not going to hear about something, you're wrong. Eventually it's going to come back tenfold because literally everyone knows everyone, no matter what sport you work in. No matter if it's in broadcasting, no matter if it's on the events and the production side, it's a very small community, and who you are and how you treat people really matters. And I always say respect goes a really long way. That network, you're always going to need someone to call. You're going to need help because it's a relationship-based business.
Very well put. So there's a little bit about Lyric's story. Questions that you might have. You saw also there, I talked about her experiences while she was at the Wells Fargo Center. Who would like to go first with the first question? Go ahead, Max.
What are your advice for people who want to go into public relations or sports marketing? What are your advice for getting internships and stuff?
Yeah, I think work your connections. I think you have great resources here. Neil, right here, can probably help you with that. There's a lot of programs and there's a lot of resources as well for you guys. I think it's on you too to do your research. Look up what's in the areas that you want to be in, figure out where you want to be at, figure out what sports you want to work in, what companies it is that you like, research them, see if they have any open spots, see potentially if someone that you know here has a connection there, which they probably do. Because again, everyone knows everyone. And if they don't have the connection, they probably know someone who does. And 9 times out of 10, that's how a lot of people get internships. You have to kind of know someone sometimes. That wasn't the case with me, thankfully. But knowing someone or using your resources is really important. So just do the research, and you'll figure out where you want to be, and you'll get there.
Let me just piggyback on what Max said here. So you mentioned, I put up there your first internship. You did go, you were at Bryce Jordan Center.
Yes.
On campus.
Yes.
But your first off-campus experience was at the Wells Fargo Center, right? So the experience that you did at Bryce Jordan Arena, that's the arena for Penn State. How did that help you prepare you for what you did eventually at the Wells Fargo Center?
Yeah. Bryce Jordan is, I wouldn't say it's tier level 1 like a Wells Fargo Center, obviously, but it's still very much an arena, and you still have to learn the operations of it. So I paid attention. I learned as much as I could at Bryce Jordan Center. I was a sponge. I soaked everything in, and also I made connections. I met people. I made sure to be involved as well and volunteer for things even if they don't ask me. But I think all of that experience helped me once I stepped into such a big building like Philadelphia's, because that's a lot. But that foundation was really helpful.
So I'm curious, you have operations, event planning. I mean, you're as you mentioned before, you're a little bit of a unicorn within your family. But who interested in operations? Who would be interested in operations, working in operations? Okay, there's a handful of people. How about events? Okay, so we have events. So did you put your hand up there, Sandra? Yeah. What is it about that aspect of the business that interests you?
Like operations and event planning?
Yeah.
I think just collaborating.
Well, first of all, tell her what you just did.
I went to San Francisco to help put on some Super Bowl pre-parties, one with Gridiron Greats and some others with the NFL alumni.
Nice.
But I think just collaborating with other people and putting on these big events and just seeing how well it goes, it interests me.
What was the biggest thing that surprised you about the events that you worked?
How many little things you don't pick up on that get purposely set up? If you were just not, like if you were just a part, like an attendee, you would not pick up on. That was what I had.
Is that good? Is that something? Can you relate to that?
Oh, absolutely.
So what is it? What are little things? How do you avoid missing the little things?
I saw something a few weeks ago on social media, and it said an event manager, every decision that they make can kill someone. And it's true. Events are and can be very dangerous if the decision makers aren't doing what they're supposed to do and they are not diligent. So like you said, those little things are so important. If one little thing is missed, it could turn into something that is really life-threatening to someone. If you don't understand what you're doing when you're rigging a show, when you're putting these heavy things in the air, if something falls or if it's not set up right, that could be catastrophic. And we've all seen examples of that somewhere. We've seen concerts or festivals that have gone wrong, or decisions that are made that maybe wasn't the right decision to make, and how it snowballed. One good example is Travis Scott. There was a lot of things that happened with that, but again, there were a lot of small decisions that were made that led to the big thing that happened. So events, as fun as it can be, it's really detail oriented, and you really have to know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you just ask, and you figure it out as you go, which is the magic of it. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Other questions for Lyric? And before I go, Lindsay, I just want to bring you in because what stood out to you when you worked? Just so everyone knows, Lindsay Massiangelo, assistant director of the center. Lindsay, 12 years with the Flyers, 20 years with Comcast Spectacor, worked in the building. Why did you notice? What did you notice about Lyric back in her early years at the Wells Fargo Center?
Lyric said yes to everyone. So she probably is going to get mad at me when I say that, but there were times where I asked for pretty impossible things because when you're running the team, you want everything to go. You want someone who's going to say yes, and she would say yes, but. So she would say, yes, but we can't maybe do it the exact way you want to do it, but we'll make it happen. But she was always very willing to make things, to accommodate the team, to find ways to put the show on the way we wanted to do it.
Did you take advice from people like Lindsay over the
Absolutely.
years? And then how did you formulate that advice that you received and then implement it?
Yeah, absolutely. I was a sponge at these internships, but once you get into the real world and you get into your real job, wherever that is, you're gonna meet a lot of people like Lindsay who are extremely seasoned in the field and know things that you don't know. Never think that you're the smartest person in the room. If you do think you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. But I always try to learn from everyone around me, and I still do. I still don't know everything. I have an MBA, and I'm running a business, but like every day is a marathon. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know, how it's gonna go, but I figure it out. But leaning on your resources is really important, and learning what you want to know from people who are in a place that maybe you want to be one day. Listen to them and take their advice, because it's really important. You're going to use it one day. You might not think it's important now, but it will be.
You had your hand up earlier saying about events and also event planning and operations. When you see a woman that looks like you, that has had success in the business, does that motivate you?
Yeah, of course, because like you said, there's like so many, like there's so little of us in here, so it's so inspiring to see someone who's worked like from the first level all the way to the top, now running your own business, especially saying that you like started out as a stage manager, now running your own business. So like, what skills did you bring from there to now running your own operation?
Yeah. Well,
Well, first of all,
Yeah.
just seeing a young
yes,
lady,
I was about
right?
to say, I was about to
Yes.
comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see you in here. I learned a lot, and I took it all in stride. Really, to be honest, it all started with high school and college. That discipline was really important. I don't know if any of you play sports. Probably a lot of you are athletes, or if not, you're working in sports. But you guys know it's a grind. Whether you're in practice, early hours, late nights, games, whatever it is. That was the same way with theater. Like I said, that chunk of time at night, you have to learn how to manage your time. You can't always go to that party, even though you want to. Sometimes you got to skip it. Sometimes you're up till God knows when, trying to figure it out, but you get it done. And that really prepared me for the next step. So high school prepared me for college. College prepared me for the real world. And then along the way, I took from those internships and everything else. So it was really kind of like a community effort is what I would call it. It's a little bit of something from everywhere.
All right, go ahead, Leo.
Where did you find the courage to take such risks, not just leaving Drexel for Penn State, but starting your own company and leaving the arena?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I've always been a person that's like, I want to do what makes me happy. I know a lot of people do things that are based on money, which why wouldn't you in this economy? I get it. I also do things based on money sometimes too. But I think also having the support of my family was helpful. A lot of people are not privileged to have that, where it's like you want to go against the beaten path and you want to do something that maybe might not make a lot of money at first, but eventually it might. So I've just always been kind of beating to my own drum and doing what I want to do. The nursing thing, I guess let my internal thoughts take over, and I did something that maybe was normal or typical, but eventually I figured it out. And even with leaving, I had to do what was going to make me happy. No one else is living your life but you. No one else has to wake up every day and do what you're doing. So why would you listen to anyone else? So that's kind of just how I live, within reason also.
I think it's important that they understand that if you're going to do this every day, you better be passionate, you better enjoy it, because it's not fun going to do something that you don't love doing.
Yeah.
And I imagine now, while scary at times, to be running your own company has got to be exhilarating.
Yeah, it is. Every day I think I wake up and I'm like, I can't believe I have my own businesses. I can do what I want. I don't have to listen to anyone, I don't have to clock in. When they say clock in, I can make my own schedule. It's great. But, it is still very challenging. There's a lot of other things that come with that. But yeah, you gotta love what you do. Because no matter what it is, it's gonna take effort and it's gonna take a lot of hard work, especially if you wanna be successful. So why sign up for something that you hate and that you're miserable at? And if you find yourself in a situation that you are miserable at, it's time to start taking steps to figure out how to get out of it, whatever that may mean for you.
This role that you eventually got into with Wells Fargo Center with the Flyers and operations, and it being the only black person or woman, black woman,
probably black person. I'm not sure.
But to do to work in the National Hockey League as an event operations. Were you a hockey fan before?
No.
Okay. Didn't think you. Mm-mm. Okay. So now all of a sudden, you're thrust on a sport you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And I just talked about enjoying something, passionate about it day in and day out. Yeah. How did that work?
Yeah. So when I came back in my real professional life, when they created the role, I was an event coordinator in their events team. So I was doing all events across the board. So it wasn't just hockey, which is kind of like I kind of just fell into hockey because my boss, he was doing Flyers. He was the main Flyers guy. When he hired me, the goal was to train me on Flyers so eventually he doesn't have to do these events. He wants to manage the team, not manage the events. So that's what happened, and then the curveball got thrown at me, and he left after the first season. He got a new job. He left. And guess who had to now run the Flyers? Me. Also, I will say too, before I started as an event coordinator at the building, I don't think I even watched a hockey game. Didn't know anything about hockey. But after that first year, again, I learned a lot. And I listened, but that summer that he left in preparation for that season I did alone for the first time, I learned a lot. It was a lot of falling on my face and failure, but you learn through it. And I always say too, you can make a mistake, and I think mistakes are great because you learn from them, but never make it again. You only get that chance to make that one mistake one time. You never do it a second time. But you can make plenty of them, just learn from them after you do. So yeah, hockey was not my first choice, but I am grateful that it happened that way.
And how many years did you work?
6 seasons.
6 seasons in hockey. Do you watch hockey games now?
I kind of do. Yeah, I do. I sit on the board now for Black Girl Hockey Club as well, so I kind of have to keep my finger on the pulse, at least for women's sports and women's hockey. Of course, we see what's happening right now, but yeah, it's kind of come into my life a little bit.
So let's talk about a black woman that gets a job in a white male-dominated sport. What does it say about where we're coming and advancing in diversity in sports today?
Yeah,
Do you think it's evolving?
I do slowly. I don't think that there's like an overwhelming change happening right now, but I do think that there's change, which is important. It's a step. Even me sitting here is a big deal. You sitting here is a big deal. So that says that there is something happening, which is good, which means that more can happen eventually. We just have to keep pushing. And I think even for the non-black women in the room, we depend on you guys to be allies and to help us in spaces like this. It's not just on us. If it's just on us, we're not going to get anywhere. So be allies and help us and help progress us, because you guys are going to be the hiring managers. You guys are going to be the decision makers, and it's on you guys to make that change. But it has to start from within, and it's just been really hard because within has always looked a certain way. So being an outsider and trying to change it, never working in hockey, it just happened, which I'm grateful for, but we need more people on the inside who actually want to force change and create that, because people are really stuck in how it's always been, and it's been that way for a really long time.
Leah, let me bring you in. You've had all this experience that you've had during your time here at Rowan. When you see a woman like this who's, emerging as, a force in the industry, what do you take from what Lyric has been able to accomplish in her short career?
I would say it's encouraging, because a lot of times maybe you'll see people who look like you like in this setting on the same level, but in my experience it's been kind of hard to see leadership. So I appreciate someone who has gotten to that kind of upper level to look up to. So I think that's good, setting kind of that framework, and hopefully that will also, when you're talking about getting on the inside, that can also someday translate to that. So when we see the upper levels of executives and managers running teams, that they will be, more people that look like us.
What would you say to that?
I agree. I think that representation is really important. When I worked at the building, you didn't see any black women in the C-suite. I didn't make it to the C-suite. I didn't stay for it. But that was the goal. But seeing someone high up and seeing them there is like, oh, I can do it. Because for us, we've never seen anyone there, so why would we even think that we can if no one's ever done it before? So seeing someone higher up is inspiring, because you know that you can do it. There's a possibility, there's a chance, but before that, I don't know.
What just events in general, what is the biggest challenge with an event?
I think the management of people. You can know all the technical stuff, which is great. You should know all the technical stuff, because again, you don't want to kill anybody. But the management of people is really important. The relationships you have on your team and even in other departments is important. And it's really crucial to how you work together and execute one thing. When you walk into an arena or any kind of sports event like the Super Bowl, there are thousands of people executing that one event. But one, you don't see a lot of them. You don't realize they're there. You're just there to enjoy yourself. But all those people are working together so well, you don't even notice. And that is where the importance comes from. If people can't work together well, if you can't manage your team, you're not going to have a good event, because one person's going to be on this island, other person's going to be on this island. They're not going to be worried about what that island has going on. There's going to be tunnel vision into what they're doing, and it's going to get all out of whack. I always say it's one band, one sound. And that's how I've always tried to run my teams.
I mean, just look at the trees that were at the Super Bowl with
Yes.
Bad Bunny. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know, people. How many trees were there? There were a ton of trees.
Yeah.
You know, and all people in all those trees. All right. Questions? Go ahead, right here.
Being the first black woman, heavy on the black women emphasis, but to oversee an operation for an NHL team, did you face any adversary, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. I think every day. Like, one, you have self-doubt a lot of times. But I think you just have to be confident in everything you do. I think it was a lot sometimes of just the visual of me. And I don't know how old I look now, but back when I was 22, running events and doing concerts and stuff, I'm showing up to meet with these promoters from like Live Nation, AEG, and their management, and all of these people that have been doing this for decades. And here they come in off the bus at 3 a.m. and they don't know who they're meeting because I've just been emailing them. So they don't know what I look like. They don't know if I'm a man or a woman. Lyric can be a man or a woman. And they think my intern is who they're meeting, because my intern is a Caucasian male. So they go to shake his hand first. And they're like, oh, Lyric? And they're like, no, I'm Lyric's intern. And I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Lyric. And I can just see sometimes like, oh, okay. So just even that instance is a very unique experience that a lot of people in here will not have to go through, because they're expecting that person to look like you guys. So sometimes I had to deal with different personalities. I'm not going to say that it was because of how I look, but I would be remiss to think that I did not have a different experience than my white counterparts did. There was a lot of people that maybe I just didn't get along with as much for whatever reason. I think it's just the shock sometimes of them not thinking you're qualified enough to do what you do or to have that title. I've always said, I'm going to just work and have my work show for itself. I know that I'm capable. I know that I'm one of the best at what I do. And I know if I don't know how to do that one thing, I'm going to figure it out. They don't know that, but they're going to learn. And that's okay. So anyone I came across that I didn't really jive with or felt away, I kind of just kept it moving. You have to learn how to let it roll off your back. If you react to everything, it's not going to be a good day for you most days. So yeah, you kind of just learn to take the punches as they go. And over time, I found joy in being like, oh, you don't like me, but you're going to love me by the end of the day. And a lot of them did. And, you know, it is what it is, but you just have to get through it, unfortunately.
Very nice. Go ahead, Ian.
Was there a particular event that was like, it looked like a disaster, and then it turned into one of the better events of the year? Like, yeah, that's my question.
That's a good question. A lot of people are like, what was the worst event you ever did? Like, let's see. I want to mention Travis Scott again. I did Travis Scott both times that he was at the arena, before the incident and after. Before the incident was crazy. Probably one of the worst shows I've ever done. After the incident, everyone was so heightened because of what had happened. And now he's going on tour, and all the arenas are like, what is he doing? Let's prepare, let's be cautious. Like, no one wants anyone to get hurt. Like, the number one thing, we want you guys to come to an event and have fun. We want you to come and have the best night of your life. And that's what it's for. You spent your money. There's an artist you maybe idolize, you've seen forever. You want to come and have a good time. But safety is always number one for us. So there was so much attention to detail on that, and like anticipation built up. I even went to Baltimore to look at the show prior and meet with the production team, and it looked fine. I even stayed for a little bit of the show. It was fine. And then it came to my show day. It was fine. It went smoothly. There were some other challenges, but overall it went okay. So I'm grateful for that.
In sports, when you go from basketball to a hockey and that turnover, how chaotic is that?
Extremely chaotic. It's like an organized, chaotic mess. It's very organized. But it is chaos.
Everybody knows what they want to do.
Everybody has a job. Everybody knows what to do, where to go, and how to do it. But it's a lot of chaos.
But it always gets done on time.
It does.
How
And
does that
it
happen?
looks great, right? Like
Oh,
nothing
I love the sped up video, right? And you're seeing everybody run around and
10 events
boom,
in
there it
7
is.
days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Those are fun times.
Very fun times.
Yeah.
Quick changes. A lot of people don't understand how an arena operates. A lot of people, like, maybe you went to a Sixers game on Monday and then on Tuesday there was a concert. People don't even like think, how did that happen? They're like, I don't know what they think. Maybe they think fairies came in and with a wand and got rid of the court. But that takes hundreds of people to change and transform overnight. The building does not stop, never stops. If you think that people have off time or there's ever a time when the building is dark, it's never dark. Never. There's always people changing over. If they're not changing over, there's an event. If there's not an event, there's a dark day event. If there's not a dark day event, there's a sales event. There's always something going on, and it takes a lot of people.
First of all, Xfinity Mobile Arena is one of the busiest arenas in the world. And two, it's 30 years old.
Yeah.
Which is another remarkable thing. Go ahead,
For
Max.
me, my question is for the World Cup. So the World Cup's going to be happening this summer. So like, what are some events that you're going to be planning for your company in general for like to bring soccer fans in Philadelphia as well?
Yeah. So for me, on my end, it's getting in with FIFA. So for me now, I'm on my own, right? I don't have machines behind me. I don't have marketing and PR to reach out and be like, hey, I have this company. You know, I am the marketing and the PR. So my job right now is to network, figure out where I fit in with them, figure out what holes maybe are missing, where I can be an asset and jump in there. The hope is always to be involved in some way. I'm not sure how yet, but I'm sure I will. It's just a matter of where I'm going to be involved and how I'm going to be involved. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, because it's all hands on deck, really,
Yeah.
for an event like that that's really about a month long
Yeah.
in the city. There's going to be a lot of
It's a lot.
people, a lot going on. So, yeah, try it. Andres.
So I'm someone who wants to be in the sports media field. I also want to start my own business and be an entrepreneur. So what are some common mistakes that young people do in both fields? that you see?
In entrepreneurship, like I said, there's a mistake every day because you have to figure it out on your own. I think entrepreneurship too, people don't think about, especially when you go from working in corporate to doing it on your own. When I worked at the arena, I call them machines, even though they're just departments. So like you have your marketing department, you have your broadcast, comms, ops. I don't have departments. I don't have teams working behind me. I am sales. I am PR. I am marketing. I'm all of that. So I think that too is like just understand what you're getting into. As glamorous as entrepreneurship looks and as nice as it seems, you know, being so flexible, doing what you want to do every day, you're gonna have to do everything. You're gonna have to work just as hard as you probably worked, if not harder, before. So I think that's just the one thing. Just research. Make sure you know what you're getting into. Make sure you know what you want to do and what resources and tools you need to do it.
You also had, I mean, it's a big decision. It's a big move.
It is.
I mean, you're almost walking out on a plank on your own, and because there's no safety net below,
No safety
right?
net.
So,
Yeah.
good for you. Good for you. All right, let me go back here. Go ahead, Leo.
What's some advice you have for not just somebody who's in your field or in the world of sports, but that is just kind of it's just a general advice that you think could cross career lines and stuff like that?
I think going back to the respect piece, everybody you meet is going to be important in some way in this field. I always used to say, you always treat the CEO the same way you treat the overnight cleaner. I can't tell you, like I said, changeovers, right? I've worked all hours of the day in that building. I've slept there sometimes. Don't tell anybody. You need that overnight cleaner sometimes to help you out with something if you're in a bind and you're loading in at midnight, which happens a lot. But also at the same time, you need to know your C-suite and you need to respect them as well. I think everybody that you touch, you treat them with human decency and kindness. I don't care where you're from. I don't care where they're from. I don't care what differences you have. Regardless, just be kind. It'll go a really long way. There's a lot of people I worked with in that building that they would say to me, you know what, just because you asked, I got you. If it was anybody else, no. And you know why they're saying that? It's because, people don't treat, labor-intensive people like roles. They don't treat them as nice because they don't think they're important, but they really are. They're the backbone of what you do. You can't do anything without them. And that goes for any job you have. Doesn't matter what level you're on, if you're the CEO, COO, if you're a manager, I don't really care. Treat everybody with kindness and respect because you don't know how it's going to come back to you. You don't know who's saying what about you. Your reputation is everything. So yeah, that's my one piece of advice.
All right, great.
As an event planner, what does the pre-planning look like for you before the show?
For the arena job?
Yeah.
So the job really starts with that when the client books the event, whatever that means. So that could mean whenever the concert goes on sale. That could mean whenever the season is about to start for sports. It starts way before you actually go to the event, sometimes like a year and a half before. And that can mean different things for whatever event it is. Every event was so different. Every day was different. So prep for a concert is prepping for on sale, getting CAD drawings together. I made sure when I was going on sale, we as event managers had to draw on AutoCAD the seating chart. If you don't have a proper seating chart, how can you sell seats, right? So we had to prepare that for the box office before you even went on sale. And then after you go on sale, that time between the on sale and the actual day of the event, sometimes it's a big lapse in not doing anything until about a month or so before. Sometimes you don't get information for a show probably like a few days before, which is insane. But up until that time where you get information for a show, it's a lot of prep work internally and externally. What I did was I was a liaison for the building. So I liaised for the external clients, which could be Live Nation and the artist. And I took all that information back, it passed through me, and I gave that information back to the building. So basically, for example, if a show came in and they're like, we have a stage that is 12 semi-trucks big, I have to take that information back to the building because they need to know that. If they have a certain kind of build that they're doing, or if they want us to prepare the building in a certain way, or if they have certain requirements, all of that flushed through me, and I had to figure out what channels to bring it through, how to communicate that to who it needed to go to, and when. And then for a game, it's a lot different because when you're dealing with a team, it's more of like maintaining. Because for example, in hockey, there's 42 home games on average. So you're doing the same thing 42 times. Whereas a concert, it's a different set of people every time. So it's a different show every time. Hockey, you're just kind of maintaining that game. You're maintaining the ice. You're maintaining, the team. They want to walk in and know what they're walking into every day. They want to walk into a clean locker room every day. They don't really care about much else. So it's really just maintaining the building for that.
When you're dealing with concerts, who are you, or any kind of show, who are you dealing with on the show side?
On the show side, it's always whoever the promoter is. So
the promoter.
Live Nation, AEG.
Okay, you're dealing with a promoter, not with the band or whatever. You're dealing with a promoter.
Yes.
And the promoter then's telling you, these are our needs, this is what we're going to be bringing.
Yep.
Okay.
And the promoter is the liaison between the artist and the building.
Interesting.
So it's all like a domino effect.
Okay, all right, next question. Who's got it? In the back, Erasmus.
So I know you work with a large group of people, as you've already mentioned, at the center for now, at the Xfinity Mobile Arena, sorry, it's been so long since it's been the center. But I kind of wanted to ask, how do you keep a large group of people so motivated with these events that I'm sure take lots of planning, lots of time to set up? How do you keep that group of people so motivated to deliver a strong product?
Yeah, it's rough. It's a rough schedule. I'm not gonna lie. It's rough. It gets dark sometimes, especially when you're like hitting the spring and you've been going for like 6 months and it's just like, again, it's some every day. It's tough to keep people motivated and wanting to come back. But I think Philadelphia, it's a really special building. The people there are really unique. I'm sure if any of you have been there and you've met any staff member, you're like, oh, that person is a character, because they all truly are. That's who they are. So to be honest, it's a big machine, and I think everyone has their own team, and they help out along the way. Whether that's through employee programs, keeping them motivated and wanting to show up and do well, whether that's some kind of gift program. It really is sometimes self-motivated, but there's a lot of great leadership in there that really helps that move along.
I don't think we mentioned, did we talk about Ed Snyder Youth Hockey at all?
Not yet.
So we should bring that up. Just tell them about what you do for, what Snyder Youth Hockey is and what you do for Snyder Youth Hockey.
Yeah, Ed Snyder Youth Hockey is basically a nonprofit for the Flyers. They provide access to hockey and hockey education for kids in underserved neighborhoods in Philadelphia. So whether that's providing equipment or providing educational programs or mentorship, they do literally everything. It's a really, really great company to be a part of. I sit on their Friends of committee, which is basically like their junior board underneath their real board of directors. And in that role, it's very new. I've only been in it for about 6 months, but we basically are kind of like a think tank. We get brought a lot of issues or a lot of things they might want to do, and we are kind of like the fresh ears and eyes to figure out how we're going to do that, or what the new ideas should be, or how we want to go about it. But it's been a really exciting.
How does hockey relate to inner city? And how does, because it works. Snyder Hockey is fabulous. They do a great job. But why does it work?
Yeah, I think that hockey is, again, a sport that a lot of people in underserved areas just don't have access to. It's really expensive to do. There are not a lot of hockey rinks here, and maybe if there are a lot of kids in underserved areas, they don't know about it. So I think hockey is like any other sport. Getting involved and doing an extracurricular activity or sport is really important to inner city neighborhoods because it keeps you off the streets. And it keeps you off the streets in a way that you're learning a skill that can actually help you be successful in life. And I think that goes with anything similar to a sport or an activity. So I think what they do is really important. I think hockey is really important, and anyone who is encouraging that it's essential, because the last thing we want is for more kids to be on the streets and not having anything to do after school, or even not having any purpose. And I think it does give some kids purpose.
If you weren't working all those hockey games all those years,
Right.
would you be involved in Snyder Hockey?
Probably not.
And again, Ed Snyder is the former owner. He's since passed. It's been about 6-7 years now. It's been a little while, right? About 6-7
I think it was
years.
2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 8 years, 9 years. Wow, time passed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So iconic figure in sports, certainly in Philadelphia. All right, next questions. Who's got right here?
Since Philly's getting their own WNBA team, what kind of events are you planning on doing for that?
Oh, I don't have any plans for that. We don't even know. I don't even know what the team name is gonna be. I have no clue. I'm hands off. So I left and kind of tried to distance a lot of things, just for my own sanity and mental health. I had to, because you're just sucked in that building really hard when you're there because it's so much work. But I think WNBA is brilliant. We need it here. I knew it was in the works for a while before I left. So I'm really happy to see it actually coming to fruition. But no, I don't know what the plan is because I don't work there.
Would you want to work
Sure.
for the WNBA team?
I don't know work for them.
But there is a new arena that is being built.
There is.
Would you want to be involved in the new arena?
That's a lot of questions.
You're being recorded right now.
I
Larry.
know. I'm trying to censor myself. I think that there's a lot of great things happening in sports and in events and in entertainment in Philadelphia. And I think that I am still involved to the extent that I want to be right now. And if I want to change that, I will. I'm not sure what the future holds. I'm not sure what those projects are going to look like. If an opportunity comes, and it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm okay with that.
We had Natasha Moody here, who works for the Sixers. I don't know if you know Natasha,
don't.
but I threw the same questions at her, right? You know, because she's actively involved in the Sixers and hopes to be involved in the WNBA team. But that's 2030. We got a little ways to go.
It's a long ways.
Little ways to go. All right. Next question. Go ahead, Luke.
Going off the question about staying motivated with different events, I'm interested in how the organization works because, like Neil said, it's one of the busiest buildings in the world.
Yeah. In what way do you want to know?
Since you have so many things, like you might have 3 things going on in a week, so how do you kind of compartmentalize those things with your planning of them?
Yeah, it's a good question. Everybody works differently. Whoever's an event manager, you all have your own different mental way of going about an event. I know I certainly have my process. I always said mentally for me, I'll get overwhelmed if I'm trying to work on one event that's tomorrow and you're in my face talking about something that is 3 weeks away. I'm like, go away. So that's kind of how I kind of kept it straight, is I worked on them in the order of the date. Of course, that does not always work. You're always going to be in meetings that has something to do with one event, another event, but that's on you to stay organized, which I think is key. But for me, it was just when I'm in this meeting for this thing, I'm focused on here and I'm present, I'm listening, and then my brain switches to whatever I have to go to next. When I'm working on it at my desk and I'm like in it with paperwork, I try to go in order of date as much as I can. But it's kind of all a jumble, and you just have to figure out how to balance it sometimes.
And now the pace has dramatically changed.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing, or are you learning to adjust to that pacing? The challenges now are vastly different from when you were in the building.
Yeah. I enjoy the pace now because I can dictate the pace. The pace before was great because I was in my 20s. I was like, I want to grind this out. I want to work hard, you know, I still do. But I'm like, I was so hungry, right? I still am hungry, but I was so hungry out of college. And I was like, I want to learn everything. So I was willing to do anything. I'm like, can I shadow you in this? Even though I already have however many events. I'm like, I was basically there every night. Because I was like, I want to see how you operate, even though that might not be how I operate. I want to shadow all the events team and see how this event works, see how that event works. So that was a time in my life, and that was a time in my life. I think now I just turned 30, and you guys, if you're not in your 20s yet, you will be. You'll experience your 20s. But once you hit 30, it's a new decade, things kind of change. They change. Your priorities change just a little bit, especially as a woman. They change a lot of bit. You go through a lot of things in your 20s, you will, good and bad, but things that were important to me at 22 are not important to me at 30. And that's kind of what changed, like life happened. So the pace, I'm okay with now. I'm 30, I want to chill out. I don't need to be at a concert every night. I don't need to be on my feet for 25 hours, and I don't want to be. No, thank you. I want to choose when I go do that. I hopefully never 25-hour days, but I want to choose when that pace is that way.
All right, very good. All right, good, Noah.
As a former stage crew member myself, and I also was involved in athletics in middle school and high school, how much was teamwork important to you?
It was really important. Like I said, that one band, one sound thing, you can't get there without teamwork. The acknowledging and appreciating people, even at lower levels, higher levels, you're not going to get there unless you know how to work with them, you know how to speak their language, whatever that means. Teamwork is really important. And I think as an event manager, whether you're on stage crew, you're running it, or you're just on the crew, being over top of so many things, it's really important that you're leading that team properly. If you don't lead it properly, and if the leader is not doing what they need to do, the team's gonna fall apart. So teamwork is key. Yeah.
Would you classify yourself as a natural leader or someone that kind of learned how to lead?
I think everyone needs to learn how to lead. I wouldn't call myself a natural born leader. Maybe other people would. It's not in my DNA. But I definitely learned. I learned as I went, and I figured it out. You know, I wasn't always even keeled and calm. I had to kind of come into that and learn how to control my emotions sometimes. And like I said, let things roll off my back. And that's a big part of being a leader. A lot of people want to be the boss, and they're not a leader. It's two different things. So being a boss and being in charge is cool, which sometimes you are, but you have to know how to lead people to the destination. A lot of times people want to boss people around, and that's not going to be effective. Everybody does not operate like that. I'm sure all take the lead from someone in your life. Someone maybe has a great leadership style to you, other people don't. And you guys cannot identify that. But leadership is definitely a muscle, and you have to learn how to flex it. It doesn't come naturally, at least not to me. I had to learn how to manage people over time.
Very well put. Very well put. All right, let me go Justin first, then Lee.
So you talked about going off of leadership. You're obviously going to work with people you don't normally get along with in the work industry, and just being working under those people, those leaders that you don't typically believe in what they believe and all that. How do you manage to work with people like that?
Yeah. Everyone operates different. Like I said, you're going to run into some personalities you don't like. You're going to run into some people who maybe have a really bad attitude, or they're just having a bad day, right? I like to give people grace too, especially in entertainment and sports, especially people coming off tour. You don't know what they got going on. They're on a bus with 1 million people for every hour of the day for God knows how long. I would be pissed too. So I think that you learn how to deal with it. I think what was important for me was that I never came out of character to the point where it changed who I was or who I wanted to be. I always tried to stay true to myself and deal with it how I need to deal with it. If someone wanted to flex their muscle at me, then sometimes I flex it back. Other people might not. They might not say anything. I'm gonna say something. My bosses knew I was gonna say something. It's just my personality. Sometimes if people were not doing things how I thought that they should be done in the company, I said that they should be doing it differently, and I told them to their face in a very respectful and professional way. But I told them, and that worked out great for me sometimes, and sometimes there was change, but sometimes that there was not. So you kind of take it as you go, and you figure out who you are, but never lose who you are. Never let someone take you out of character so far that you don't recognize yourself, and it's just so unlike you.
By the way, what would you tell that? How old were you when you took the internship at Wells Fargo?
20?
20.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell that 20-year-old today? Pay attention to this, do this, think about this. What would you tell that person today? Because a lot can happen in 10 years.
A lot has happened in 10 years. It's been a long ride. It's a good question. I think I would just tell myself to hold on. You're going to get there. Don't rush it. Learn what you need to learn and do everything you want to do. Try it all. And just figure it out as you go. No need to speed it up. It's not going slower than you think. It's going at the right pace. You just don't know it yet. When I was 20, could you imagine? I didn't know I'd be sitting here. I didn't know I'd have the career that I've had, which I'm very grateful for. But back when I was 20, I had no clue. And I would tell myself, you don't know anything. You know nothing. You think you know everything. You don't know anything. You haven't learned anything. You're like a child. I'm still a child, but yeah.
That's pretty good. That's well put. Go ahead, Leo.
You mentioned how many boards and committees you're a part of, along with your business too. What's the most difficult part of wearing so many hats, and then how do you manage that?
Oh, I get overwhelmed, man. I don't want to tell you. I think working at the arena really helps because, like I said, every chapter before always helps you with the next. So being able to juggle all those events we just talked about and how you switch between is exactly how I'm doing it now. But I don't have anyone watching over me, so I'm my own watchful eye, making sure I get things done. But honestly, it's like the same way. I wake up and there's an email from 3 different things I got going on, and I got to figure out all 3 of them plus other things at the same time. I call them pots on the stove. I'm like, I have 10 pots on the stove. They're all boiling. I don't know what to do. But you figure it out. You just, you take your time and you figure out how to organize yourself. and you figure out what pace to go at and what's best for you. For everyone's going to be different. Everyone's brain works differently, and everyone operates differently too.
How did you come up with the name of the company?
Oh, I think it kind of like came out of nowhere. I was like brainstorming what the name should be, but you know, I come from theater, and does everyone know what the term break the fourth wall means?
Yeah.
Most of you, okay, perfect. So I come from theater, so the fourth wall was always like a thing for us, so it was always in the back of my head, and when I thought of break the fourth wall, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I was like, everything I've done my whole life is breaking the fourth wall. Everything I've done. Literally since high school. So it made sense, so I named it that.
By the way, also, beautiful name. Lyric
you.
is a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Where does that come? Where does it come from? Family? Where's it come from?
So I don't know if anyone knows the movies Jason's Lyric from the 90s, probably not. There was this movie called Jason's Lyric. It came out when she was pregnant with me. And the main lead character in the movie, her name was Lyric. She loved it, so she named it.
Have you met another Lyric?
No.
Yeah, it's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
It really, it's very, very beautiful. And if you had another question, did you want to get your other question in?
Oh, I was just saying how it was mentioned how you always said yes to everything, like especially in the beginning. So what advice do you have to stay organized, like especially when you're trying to get your foot in the door?
I think do things that align with you. You want to try everything though. College this time is good for that. When I was at Penn State, I literally tried everything. I think I was in a spoken word club. Spoken word came back full circle, literally last year for me. I was doing Moving On, which was the outdoor festival. I was doing production for them. I was doing everything and just trying it out. When I was in theater school at Penn State, to be honest, a lot of the theater kids were like, what are you doing? Just do these shows and move on. Why are you branching out and doing production? Like, ew. But I did theater and production, and now I've had success. So I say the advice is try everything. If you think you're interested, just go to the meeting. You might never go back, and that's fine. Who's gonna know that you went? Who's gonna care? Stage Crew for me started with me just going to a club meeting because I was interested. I had never heard of it. And there was a girl that told me it wasn't cool and I shouldn't go, and I didn't.
And what's that girl doing now?
I've never heard of her since
There you go. There
never
you go.
heard of her.
But we have heard of Lyric Hamilton. Let's thank Lyric Hamilton.